Hello everyone. I see you logging in. Hello, hello. Hi Debbie. Terry, hi. Hello everyone. Nancy. Hey. Hi everybody. Welcome. Hi Jane. Hello. Hi everyone. Mary's here. Hello Deborah. Hi everybody, great to see you. Diana's here. Hi Carolyn, hearts to you. Hello everyone. Hi Mary. Hello Roberta. Hi everybody, Kathy's here. Hello, hello. Okay, before we get started, because I'm really trying to get into this habit of showing you guys what we're going to be using for the tutorial today so that you can quickly go gather it. We're going to be using the watercolor Cottages set, this one in the center, and it looks like that. And this is number 4958. And then, of course, get your dots out. Okay, that one is Bible Foliage set 2, 5418. I should know that by now. And then Foliage set 1, and we're going to be using, it's number 4051, and I'm going to use this guy right here and then the teeny tiny grass. Hello, hi Maria. Hello everybody. Hello Catherine. Oh, Nancy, happy Tuesday. Yes, it's Tuesday today. Tuesday the Tuesday. Hello, hello. Natalie, it's 2 a.m. for you. Oh my goodness, girl, you haven't slept yet? I thought you were like going to sleep, setting your alarm, and then getting up for, you know, back to basics and then going back to sleep. Oh my gosh. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome. Anna made it. Hello, Janice. Hello, Shelly. Hi, everyone. Hello, Trish. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are here. Sheila's here. Hello, hello. Let me show you what we're going to make today. It's really fun. We're going to make this little cottage, this little brick cottage, and I'm going to show you how to make the bricks. They're really easy, really fun, super, super simple. I will be using a brush that we don't carry, but you can get a really inexpensive one online or at your local craft store, and it's going to be a square brush. It is, some of you might have one of these. It's a little square number 4, and it just looks like that. So it's just a square brush. It's really small. I don't know if you can even see that, like on my, what if I do it on the background here on my watch? It's really small. It's a number 4. It's a shader brush. So I just kind of grabbed this out of my stash because it was square, and I'm going to be using that for the bricks. So there is, you could do this with your teeny tiny brush. It'll just be a little bit harder to try to get, you know, the little rectangles themselves, okay? But I think we'll be able to do this. And even if you can't get this, like I said, it doesn't have to be exactly like bricks. So it'll just kind of give you that, you know, that suggestion of a brick lay on the bottom of this cottage, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm so excited for this tutorial. It's a little bit different, but it's super, super, super simple. Okay, so you will be able to do this. If you are new to art impressions, you're new to watercolor, this is a project that you can do as a beginner, and it will have a really great impact on the cards that you're going to give away or the frameable art that you're going to make. So just a couple other things. I am using water-based markers. We use the Tombow brand, and that is the marker. Obviously it's a little bit backwards, but I will show you on the correct screen or the correct orientation. And then we also use, I'll be using my number 4 connoisseur round synthetic brush. Okay. And then of course that little square brush. And then the paper is 140 pound cold press watercolor paper. So you have to have watercolor paper to do this. So anyway, that's what we're using. There's a couple, of course, the Art Impressions stamps and then the acrylic blocks. So of course, ask your questions. That's what I'm here for. This is for basics, okay? And so let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna switch the camera around and we'll get going. Okay, everybody. All right, so here is our little project that we're going to be making. And I do have your comments up right now, so please feel free to ask your questions, whatever questions you have. Let me know, okay? All right, so we are going to, let me just orient this camera a little bit better, okay? And, okay. So I am going to take my blank piece of watercolor paper. Okay. And right now I'm going to use the smooth side, but it's totally up to you. You can use either side, okay? Elaine, are you going to do classes in Salem again soon? I want to take a live in-person class really bad. Maybe. I don't know what is going on. There might be something in the works for the future, but just keep your eyes peeled. Huh? I'm being asked a question by the queen right now. Oh, she said, keep your eyes peeled. Okay. So let's go ahead and get going. Good question. Okay, Sue, are we going to be able to get your book of tea? No, Sue, that's just for my my personal remembrance, I guess, of the fundraiser. But only because of the logistics of using so many of your beautiful works of art, I don't think I can sell it. But if you were to do one yourself with, you know, if you were to go on there and ask permission to use those and do one yourself, they're actually really easy to put together. So you could get on that thread and get permissions if you wanted to do that. But unfortunately, I cannot sell them. Okay, Catherine, yes, I'm using the smooth side. Yep. Okay. All right. Okay, let's get going. So I'm going to grab my little cottage here and I'm going to grab 565 and we're going to do our basic gray color for our little cottage. Okay. And I'll do this. And then right over the top of that, I'm going to go 969. Okay, so 969 over the top, right over that blue, okay? Now I am going to take my little paper. So this is just a stamp off paper I've been using. And I want to stamp that off. Look how dark that is. It's too dark. So I'm going to stamp it off again. Still too dark. And so on my fourth stamp, that will go to my project paper. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a huff. And I will stamp that down onto my project paper, okay? So now what I'm going to do, because I'm going to do those the brick lay down in here, I'm going to go ahead and put in my masking. So all I'm going to do is just take these little pieces of paper that I cut out that are similar in size. You could always stamp this off onto a little Post-it note if you wanted to, onto the sticky part, and just cut out the windows and the door if you want to. I did this, I did that on Post-it paper, or like the Post-it, the Post-it tape. Okay, so I just stamped the front of it onto here and then cut out the little doors and the windows. Just because we don't want the bricks coming into the windows at all. Or into the door, okay? So I'll zoom in here and just kind of show you what I'm doing. So before I do any of the bricklaying, I need to put in a couple shadows here, because trying to put in shadows after I do the bricks is gonna be a big pain, because I'm gonna have to run through the brick. So what I wanna do is just put those in right away at the beginning, okay? All right, so I'm gonna take my brush and just pull out a little bit of that color just on the edge. And I'm just pulling out some of that gray so that I don't have to do that later. It's already in there and established when I put in my bricks. Because you don't want to go through and try to do this at the end. Okay. I might as well put a little bit of shading up in here, so I'll just take my wet brush and pull a little bit of this out. I will do a little bit more as we kind of work through this project, but for now, I can just pull some. A little bit down in here. Okay. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is take a couple more pieces of my Post-it tape, and I'm gonna put a piece. You can see I've already used this piece. I'm just gonna put, you can reuse Post-it tape. So it goes a lot further than if you just use it one time. And then I'll just put one here. And then I'll put another one down at the bottom. Okay, so I have my little house masked off, and I'm gonna zoom out just a little bit so you can see what colors I'm gonna use on my palette, because we will need to use our palette for this. Okay, hi Patricia, good to see you. So I'm gonna use my palette, and we'll start off with number 947. So 947 is a really nice, warm, neutral type brown. And it does kind of give off that terracotta warmth, that warmth into the brown, which I really like. And then I'm gonna use 969. Okay, oops, I got some marker on my fingers. Don't worry about that. And then I have 933, which is this really nice orange color, if we want some lighter appearing bricks, okay? So what we're gonna do is just kind of dipping into all three of these as we go along, so that we get some variation in our bricks, okay? Because we don't want them to look all the same when we're doing this. Okay, so let me see if I can orient this to have everything on the page and be close. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna take that really cute square brush that I showed you earlier, which is this one. It's a shader, it's a number 4 shader. And I just grabbed this out of my my little jar of brushes. So if you have another brush that's, you know, thinner than this one, or even a little bit wider, is totally fine. But you want to make sure, if you look at it from the side, it comes to a point. So if you were looking at it like this, it does kind of look like a round bristle brush, okay? But you're gonna have, it's gonna be flat, okay? So I'm gonna take that 947 and I'm just gonna start to grab, and I'm gonna just mix kind of these different colors together. I will actually use a lot of that 969. I like a nice dark brick, but it's totally up to you how you wanna mix yours, okay? So I'm gonna start on the left-hand side, and I am going to move to the right, okay? So I'm going to move all the way to the right and start right here. Okay. And then as I make that, that little brick, then I'm gonna move to the next brick. So I'm gonna go just grab a little bit more, maybe a little bit of this brown. And I do want it to look a little bit different. So I'll go to the next brick. Okay. And then maybe I'll grab a little bit of this 933. Got a little fuzz there. 933. And I'll do the next brick. So this is what you're gonna do all the way down, okay? So you're just gonna kind of change up the color so that you get variation in your bricks. Okay. And then I'm gonna skip the door. And I will move on to the other side. And the width of your brush is really going to be the width of your brick. Okay? And then maybe I'll dip in here. Okay. And then maybe I'll grab a little bit more of this. You can see I'm just sort of, you know, grabbing colors as I go just to give a difference in brick color. Now, when you're coming back, you don't want to start here. You actually want to start right in the middle of the last one. Okay. So you're going to be bricklaying all the way over. Now, when you start a new row, you want to put the second one in first, and then the first one you can just kind of fill in. Okay. And then I'll grab my next color. Now, you don't want a lot of water on this, so if you have a lot of water, just kind of get it off and then go back to your colors. And then I will lay another brick. Maybe a little bit of that 933. And it doesn't have to be perfect. What we're doing is giving the idea of bricks. Okay? Now, I'm going to go onto this side. I'm going to do the same thing I did here. So I'm going to start with the second brick. Okay. And then I can fill in this little spot. Get a little bit more water. And maybe a bright orange one here. And then to offset that, we'll put in some brown for the next one. And then I can just finish it up with that same color. Okay, so now we have 2 rows of bricks. Isn't this fun? It's really fun. You can use this on all kinds of things. I do suggest if you don't have a teeny tiny brush, I mean, I imagined making one by just cutting the bristles short on 2 of the sides and then just having the center be longer. If you wanted a really teeny one for smaller structures, but you will need to pick a structure that's like medium sized to large to be able to do this with a number 4. Now, if you find a smaller brush, I mean, sky's the limit. You can do this on any of the structures or whatever you want to do it on, but it's just fun. It's really, really fun to do this technique, and the square brush really makes it simple. Okay. All right. So we're going to go to the next row. And I'm going to put that first one in right between these 2 bricks. So we're now mimicking that bottom row again, okay? So my plan is to do 4 rows of bricks. Now you could go all the way up if you wanted to. You could do just the middle if you wanted to. This would be really neat. There was one I was playing with. Is it this one? I don't know. But there was one I was playing with that had, I made the front, the center area all brick, and then the outside was actually white. So that could be really cute too. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to keep going and grab a little bit of this 947. And I'll go there. A little bit of this 969. Okay. And I'm not wiping my brush between grabbing, I'm just grabbing and going because we want these to look different with every brick that we lay. Okay. And then on this row, I'm going to start right there. I'm going to mimic that first row of bricks. All right, Jerry, I only use synthetic bristle brushes because the real brushes, when you push on them, they just stay bent. And the synthetic ones, they pop back up. So I really only use synthetic bristle brush. Great question. Margie, this one is a number 4 shader. So this is just one I grabbed out of my stash. But I'm sure that you could find a similar synthetic bristle square that you could get super cheap or in a little pack of small brushes for this type of technique, okay? So unfortunately, we don't carry these on the website as of now. we may bring them in, but as of now, we don't have them. And I did get permission to use this brush on this video because I was like, this is just too fun. I gotta show you guys. Okay. And I'll grab a little bit more. We might be on the hunt for the best square brush, but it really is okay to use any synthetic bristle brush, okay? All right. Grab a little bit more of that. Okay, our third row is now done. Okay. Now we're gonna do one more row. So we got this. So let's go in for our last row here, and I'm gonna mimic now the second row. So I'm gonna start here. Okay, and I can put a little dot next to it on the edge. Margie, a number 4. So this is a number 4 shader. Yep. But that's just what I'm using. You could use a number 3 or even smaller if you want to. This is just what I could find. This is the smallest one I had in my stash. Okay. Hi, Pam. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us all the way from Australia. My goodness. I love hearing from our international friends. Okay. Pam, we're learning how to be bricklayers today. Okay. Edna, the flat brush is synthetic. I only use synthetic brushes just because they keep their shape a lot better. Okay. So my last one on the right-hand side is done. And then I can go in on the left-hand side and I'm going to do the same thing, okay? So I'm going to start between the last, or the 2 little bricks on the edge. Okay, grab a little bit more, something else. And this brick would have gone right here, so I'm just going to skip that. And I'm going to go to the other side. And then I'll grab a darker color and then finish that off. Okay, so we have our little bricks in, okay? So now what I want to do is just bring in my Twintone, and I'm going to just put a couple little lines in here just to give the feeling of some deeper, some shadows in here. Now I don't want to do much. I don't want to touch every single brick, but I do want to come in and just put a couple little lines in here that just, you know, look like a little shadow. Okay, so I'm just sort of picking different bricks that I want to add this color to. And okay. And that's our bricks. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and take this off. So this project would be cute with or without the bricks. So if you're nervous to do the bricks, you're new, you're like, I don't know if I can do that yet. Don't worry about it. Just do your cottage and the greenery and all of that good stuff without the bricks. And then when you feel comfortable to try something new, then you can try the bricks. But don't feel like you failed because you don't feel like you can do that yet. It's totally fine. So now I'm going to take these off. Okay. All right. So now we have our little brick cottage. So cute. And we can now do the other details on our cottage and finish this up, okay? So I'm gonna just zoom out a little bit here, and we're gonna add some more colors to our palette. Okay, so I'm gonna add number 565. Okay. And then I have 969 on there, and I also need 171. Wait, yeah, 177, not 171. 177. Okay. So we can now take our brush, and I want to bring a little bit of, I want to leave the upper part of this little cottage to look white. So I want to leave it white, but I still need to add in a little bit more shading on here. So I'm going to take that 565, just a little bit of it, with my number 4 round. So I am no longer using the square brush. I'm back to my normal number 4 round. Okay, so I'm just grabbing that 565, and I just want to take a little bit of that and put it into the eaves of the cottage. Okay. Put a little bit down here. And I'm just very gently putting in these little shadows. Okay. And then I'll take number 969, which is that nice brown color. So 969. And I'm going to put it into the rooftop and then also the little overhangs here. So I'm going to just do a little bit. I don't want to do too much where the bricks are, just because I don't want to take away from the bricks, and I don't want these to blend in with the bricks. So I'm just going to very gently do that. And then go ahead and put a little bit of this brown into the door here. And then that 969 on top. Now I do not want to touch the lines of the roof. I just want to have a nice little white cushion between the line and my roof. Now I can touch the roof, that's fine. It's not that it's wrong. I just like to have that little space between the color that I add and the image line, okay? So I'm gonna move that so I can get onto this side. And I'm just going to add that color in. I just think it's a nice break of color, and it kind of gives your eye a break between where one thing starts and one thing ends. You're welcome, Sue. I can't wait to see you make one. I know I'm missing so many comments. Oh, Barb, of course. I'm happy to show you. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Nancy. Diane, yes, you're a brick mason. Thank you, Pam. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so let's keep going. Our little cottage is coming together now. So I'm going to take a little bit more of that 969, and I'm going to go in for my second layer of this brown. So I want this to be not too dark, but 2 layers dark. Okay, and then this side. And how cute. Okay, now I'm going to add just a little bit of brown to my chimneys here. I don't want this to be as dark because I do want them to kind of be set apart from the brown on the rooftop. So I'll do one little layer and then I'll do the darker little shading in the center or on the edges. Okay. Bye, Pam. We'll catch you later, girl. Okay. So now we can put in our little door color. So we also need number 171, which is, or 173. Yeah, 173, which is this really bright green. And I love this color combo, and I've showed you guys this before. But I love the blue that this makes. Okay, so when you mix these two, the 565 and the 173, you get this really beautiful bluish green color, and it's like nothing I've been able to get with other colors. So I really like mixing these two, and I like mixing them to where it's more blue. So I have a little bit more blue than I have of the green. So I'll show you. It kind of comes off as like a grayish blue. It's almost like a steel blue in a way. But it's just so beautiful. I love it. Okay. And we'll take just a little bit more and we'll kind of put it into just that top part. All right. So now we have our little colored door, and I'm just kind of blending this out a little bit just because you guys know I'm kind of a blender. I like to blend things out. So I'm just going to blend that out a bit more. And now we can put in our little windows. Okay, so I'm going to use the 565. 565, and I'm just going to put a little bit of this 565 into the window. So we'll create our little window panes. So there's 1, 2, and then we'll do it again. These would be cute with like little curtains or something. So I have my first one. Don't feel like these need to be perfect. I'm telling myself too. They don't need to be perfect. They are just a suggestion of a window pane, okay? Okay. And our little one up top. All right, so we have our little cottage here. And we are going to now put in, everything else is very easy, very straightforward. We're gonna put in our little green cloud now. So I'm gonna use number 177. Now I wanna show you how much water I use. I use quite a bit of water for this. So I'm gonna get my 177 out, and I'm just gonna make kind of a puddle of this green. And I'm just going to put it in next to the little cottage. I'm not gonna touch the cottage. Okay, with the green cloud, I'm just gonna kind of put this in kind of all around here and up over the top. It's up to you. You just put it where you think you want your foliage. Okay. So it's our little green cloud that we love so much. Okay. Then I can just do the other side, and I don't want to go as high. I want to keep this asymmetrical. And maybe on this side, I'll bring this around a little bit. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to take that cute little foliage, that kind of bushy foliage, and I don't know if you can see in the highlight there, the areas in which I inked last time. So that's all I'm going to be inking is just this small space right here, and I'm going to stamp them all around. Now you can, if you're not sure that you won't stamp over your little cottage, because we don't want to stamp over it, you can always put in a little mask if you want to. I've done this a lot of times, so I don't need one, but I want to show you how to do it just in case you do. If you get it on your little cottage, it's not a big deal. Eventually, you will only use masks when you absolutely have to, because you'll kind of get to the point where you're like, it's fine. It's not going to be a big deal if it gets onto my cottage, okay? So I'm going to take my little bush, and I'm going to use number 249. So this is a different green than the cloud I did, okay? So I'm going to take 249, and I'm just going to ink a little bit of this, okay? And I'm going to go all around, kind of reorienting the stamp so that I get lots of little impressions. And I'm going to come in here. And it's going to kind of look like a mess in the beginning. It's going to look just a little bit crazy before you add your water. Okay. So I'm going to go on this side. And come around just a little bit in the front. Okay, now I can take my mask off, and I have my little foliage, but watch it come to life when we add water. So I'm going to take my brush. Okay, and I'm going to take that and just dab. I'm going to start dabbing around where I added that foliage. Still leaving white space like we normally do. But what this does is it makes the foliage go back. So when you make that green cloud, it makes it look really dense and lush in the background. And it gives off the impression that there's quite a bit going on behind this little cottage. And maybe there's a little forest back there. But this is just kind of being framed in with the little foliage here, okay? So I'm just dabbing. And I'm kind of hazing out these little edges. So there's no harsh line. Okay, now the other side, you can see the difference now, right? So this side looks kind of unfinished, but this side looks like a dense little foliage area behind the house. And then we'll go on this side. Okay. And the front of the cottage. Dab, dab, dab. Okay. Now we are going to put in our sky. So I'm going to use 565, but you can use any blue you want to. I like the 565 because I used it for the windows, and it just connects in really nicely also with that the shadow. So if you use another blue, I would encourage you to mix that maybe with the 565 and put that into your windows, just so it all looks very cohesive. Okay. I've learned a lot from the Queen, and she connects things like a master. And I've asked her so many times, I'm like, why does this look wrong? And it's usually something with a color not being connected into the main image on my composition. And so I've learned a lot about connecting things together, and then it gives them an anchor. It anchors it back into the composition because you can see it in here. So because I have this blue kind of out on the outside, if it wasn't also on the shadows and in the windows, it could feel a little bit like it doesn't belong. But because it is in the shadows and in the windows, it looks like it belongs. It looks like it's supposed to be there, even though it's kind of out on the outskirts. So I've learned a lot from her on that. Okay, amongst a million other things. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is put my little palette aside, and I'm going to start putting in some of my little grass. So I'm going to grab my little teeny tiny grass and number 177. Okay. Paula, isn't that true? We always learn things from our moms no matter how old we are. Oh my goodness. Yes, a million times over. Whether it be art or planning or anything, honestly anything. Outfits, like she's so good at putting things together. I don't have an eye for design at all, like zero. And so when I need help, with decor, like at my place or anything like that, she knows. She always knows. And she's like, this is why you don't like that. Or, if I feel like, oh, just something's bugging me, she always knows what it is. Always. So I can count on her for so many things, but also she's just a very wise woman. And I appreciate that so much about her. So yes, you're right, Paula. Yes, you are right. Okay, so I'm putting in my little grass. Make sure that you are walking the grass out, right? So when I stamped it, I connected it to the previous one as I went along. And now I'll take my little brush, my number 4 still, and I'll just start pulling these out. And maybe I'll just bring some of this color up front. And the grass also is really good to give you a horizon line, because when you do these foliage, you know, these big chunky foliages in the back, you don't know where they end. So you really do need your grass in here to give it a horizon line, a line in which the ground stops and the air starts, right? So off of the ground, that's what the grass does, is it gives you a place to kind of offset your foliage. And now when we put that grass in, it popped up that foliage up. Okay, so it looks three-dimensional now that we put in this grass. Okay. Now we can put in our little details. So I'm going to take that little Twintone again, and I want to put the door handle in. Okay, I'll leave just a little white dot there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like it's a little highlight on the door handle, the little knob. And then I'm just going to come in and put in some little, very small lines in here just to add to the contrast. Okay. I like to have these little dark lines in here. I just think it adds so much to the composition when you have your contrast. Okay. And one last pass on my windows, because I like these nice and dark. It's up to you if you want to do this last one. I just think it adds a lot when it's darker. Just looks like there's somebody, you know, it's the lights are off inside. Okay, and then we'll take our little dots, which I love. We have to have these in there, right? I'm going to take my little stamp off paper, get it ready, because I'm not going to have all of the dots be dark. I want some of the dots to be a little bit lighter. But I am going to use that 969 brown. And I will just ink. I'm just going to ink half of this. I don't need the whole thing. I want a little bit more control over it. So I'm just going to ink off some of the heavier ink. Now I can go in with maybe a darker one in here. But it's really up to you where you want to put these. I like them when they're outside. So when they're outside of the composition and they're kind of scattered about outside, I like those ones to be light. I like those ones to kind of be light as like a little accent outside of the composition. And then inside the composition, they can be a little bit darker because they're sort of hidden inside. Okay. All right, and that is our little cottage. So we are going to always sign our work, right? If you would like to be added into the drawing, of course, enter your name and Leah will pick a winner. And we will send the winner this little cottage. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I am going to turn the camera back around and say my little goodbyes. I hope that you all try this. I saw a lot of good ideas for the bricks, and I think that will be so fun to see what you all make with this. I saw doing a church. I saw doing like a little brick, like a little fence, or I forget what you said about that. Let me see. There was like a little brick fence in the front maybe. But other people said that you could do it on like the old throwback English village. There was a lot of ideas going around, so I just absolutely love that. If you think of any other ideas, leave them in the comments, because people do come back and they get inspired by you. So, all right, I'm going to turn around and I will say my goodbyes to you guys. Yay, we made it through. Good job. Who stamped along with me? Anybody? Anybody have this and have the little have a little flat brush at home that you could stamp with or color with? I hope that you did, and if you end up posting it, make sure to tag me. I don't get all the tags, so if I don't see you, please don't take it personally. I will kind of scroll through and see what I can see, but Facebook doesn't always notify me when I'm tagged in something, so please don't be hurt, but I will go around and see as best as I can everybody's beautiful work. So you guys are so talented. You're amazing, and I will see you next week. Make sure to tune in for a very special Watercolor Wednesday tomorrow with the Queen herself. You are in for a surprise. So don't miss it. Mwah! Love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye.